Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbin is the name and Hearthstone is the game, and this is my Journey to Ungrow budget elemental mage deck. First things first, when I say budget, I really mean it. This is a deck that only costs 1,000 arcane dust to craft, so it's very affordable whether you're starting a collection, returning to the game, brand new, it doesn't matter. You can still afford this deck and play it at a competitive level. That said, of course, this is not a deck designed to carry you all the way to legend ranks. It's just not that good. There are more refined lists with stronger cards out there, but this is the kind of deck that can easily take you from rank 25 to rank 15, from rank 20, maybe rank 12, probably peaks out somewhere around rank 10, depending upon just how dedicated you are, how skilled you are, and perhaps some key replacements here and there that could, in fact, make the deck a little bit stronger as you figure out the deck and find what it needs to fit or suit the meta that you're currently seeing. But still, an affordable deck that will get you some wins on the ranked ladder, which is a very nice thing to have. So, this is a budget elemental mage deck, and elemental doesn't really describe what the deck is designed to do, but as you might be able to tell from the mana curve of the cards already, this is really more of an aggressive deck that's looking to get out on the board pretty quickly and pressure your opponents with early game minions and then finish that up with some strong mid-game minions, but also quite a bit of burst damage available to the deck. So this is not a control deck. You're not going to be playing into the late game. You're going to want to get out fast and try to win games quickly by pressuring your opponent. You can still afford to deal with the board a little bit and play for board control almost like a zoo deck might do. But ultimately, you do have to get that damage in and kill your opponent. And there are a lot of new Journey to Ungrow cards that just allow you to do that even better and consistently play elementals and trigger those elemental synergies for both strong minions but also additional resources that really help you finish games. For instance, as far as cheap elementals are concerned, cards like Glacial Shard can help you stall out your opponent's early game board, allowing you to do things like get a mana worm that's much bigger and much more threatening without your opponent making an efficient trade into it. Cards like Flame Geyser serve essentially two purposes. They're great at controlling small minions in the early game, just allowing you to kill them off so they don't threaten your minions, but they also generate a cheap elemental which helps you activate your elemental synergies later. And then finally, it's just sometimes 2 damage, right? Sometimes 2 damage for 2 mana, even though not the most efficient play from a damage per mana standpoint, it's still enough to just kill your opponent in the late game if you top deck this card. It might help you piece together a Fireball, Frostbolt, Flame Geyser combo or some sort, right, that just gets you the kill, which is always nice. The Shimmering Tempest is another elemental card here that does help trigger the elemental synergies, which is a good bonus, but ultimately the death rattle here is what makes this card so strong. Even if you're not running a quest, getting additional spells added to your hand often provides a lot of utility. Sometimes it'll be burned, sometimes it'll be that flame strike you need to finish off a game. Whatever it might be, often it's very good because on average mage spells are quite strong and you'll find some sort of utility. Igneous Elemental, just another elemental generator. The worst thing I think that can happen in this deck is if your curve fails you. If you go into turn 4 and you just don't have a strong play and you have to hero power, you're going to be in a really bad spot. Cards like Igneous Elemental help you avoid that by giving you really cheap minions to play, keep loading up the board, but also just help you activate elemental synergies. Thunder Lizard is not a card a lot of people have seen, but it's a very cheap Ungrow card that's actually rather good in an elemental deck as long as you're playing on a budget. Maybe there's better options for top-end decks, but for this kind of deck, Thunder Lizard can do some work. It just gives you a lot of flexibility, a little bit of control over your decision-making. So sometimes it can be the 3-6 that trades really efficiently. Sometimes it can be the 6-3 that your opponent doesn't have an answer for and just does a ton of damage. Fireplume Phoenix, just another solid elemental that helps you sometimes kill your opponent with 2 damage to the face, other times just make a really efficient board tempo play where you address something of your opponent's while also developing a minion that does set up future elemental synergies. And then the final 2 pieces here are really the strongest of the set and the 2 rare cards that did make the cut in this list, the first of which is Steam Serger, the new elemental synergy card available to Mage. This is just another solid body for 4 mana. And it summons a Flame Geyser to your hand, right? So Flame Geyser we already like in this list. For all the same reasons, this gives you extra ones. So it's extra damage, extra control, extra elementals. There's a lot to love with Steam Serger. And then finally, Servant of Calamos, just another mid-range elemental minion that gives you late-game threats, that gives you late-game resources. If you're just about to peter out and running out of cards and running out of resources to win you the game, Servant of Calamos can provide you exactly what you need to win. Sometimes it's just a water elemental or a steam surge, you never quite know. Sometimes it's Pyros for longer term value. There's a number of elementals that are actually quite good to get off of Servant of Calamos, so this is just a strong finishing piece. And then beyond that, all the other cards in the list are essentially just Mage staples, many of which are very cheap because they're basic cards or classic common cards. A lot of them just do damage or help you establish an early game Mana Worm that gets really strong, just make efficient tempo plays with Sorcerer's Apprentice. You've got some card draw with Arcane Intellect to just help you find burst in the late game if you need it. And then stuff like Fireball and Frostbolt for just raw damage, sometimes to kill minions efficiently, sometimes just to pummel your opponent in the head, which is always nice. And that's the budget elemental mage list. It's actually a pretty tight little list and can do some work on the ranked ladder. I've had a lot of fun playing it so far. So why don't we go ahead and take it out there and see it in action? Because really, that's the best way to learn a deck. Is just see it in action, kind of learn the mulligans, talk through the lines of play, and learn it firsthand, essentially. Now, I will say, like I mentioned, deck is not designed for rank 5, where I'm currently at on the ladder. This is, like I said, maybe a rank 12, rank 10 style deck. So we might not win a lot of games. We might not win any games. But I think we'll still get to see the deck in action, see how it works, see the synergies in play, and learn a little bit about how to pilot this deck, even at a high level. And I think we might actually find a winner, too, as well. It's certainly possible, so... Alright, so this hand's not bad, right? Mana Worm is actually the perfect turn 1 play. There's really nothing better in the list. And Arcane Missiles is a cheap spell that can potentially combo with Mana Worm, which we like. This is also fairly good against a number of things that Shaman might want to do. We don't know what kind of Shaman deck this is. There's Murlocs, there's Elementals. I've even seen some Control Shamans running around, which could be a real problem for us because they have a lot of healing and we won't be able to kill them probably. They also have board clears, which are trouble for our deck too, so... Let's hope it's not Control Shaman. We would like Murlocs, probably. Elemental would be the next best choice. This is a very awkward hand, right? I think we have to go all in on this Mana Worm and hope it works, and just hope we draw into a 2-mana play. And hope, in fact, that the Firefly dies here. We don't want that sticking around, because it might just mean that... he has some sort of Jade Claws trade of this sort. So now we might just get killed by Jade Claws or some other option. Flame Tongue Totem. There's a lot of stuff that now enables this to trade up. So it's really unfortunate that this Arcane Missiles whiffed. Killing this minion would have just made our life a lot easier. Thankfully, he didn't have anything, so we're going to be able to just get some value off the ping, it looks like. That's really convenient that there was no punish here. Oh, he makes the trade. Interesting. That's interesting. So he actually denies our ping value. And we had a really weak turn, and we don't even have a 3-drop right now. This is almost unheard of for this list, because really the 3 and 4 spots only make up probably 40% of the total deck list. It's primarily 1, 2s, and 3s. So if we don't draw into something playable, thank goodness we did, it was going to be really rough. And we'll drop it. This means my board dies to Maelstrom Portal, right? Because he can trade Maelstrom Portal. But we developed an elemental to make the Steam Serger better. Fireplume Phoenix might be a solid play too. Oh wow, he's running his own. That's awesome. I haven't seen this card run in everybody's list. Oh, Meteor's cool. That could be very handy. So we'll just play this because, you know, we know that we activated it. It trades efficiently into the board. It's a solid play all around. Next turn we can play a Phoenix and a Glacial Shard if needed. It's a great answer. Really solid play, but we can play the Fire Plume and freeze the 3/3 here to kind of address the board. Thunder Lizard is also intriguing, but it's a little more awkward for mana, and we know it'll work next turn too, so I'm not particularly worried about it at this point. This essentially will allow me to ping trade if I need to, maybe catch a Meteor on a big minion he plays and kill this, right? That'd be amazing if he played a giant dude. Not a giant dude. Looks like Maelstrom Portal's coming out here. Yeah. It's a pretty solid play. We're going to have trouble resolving this board. I mean, I could go ahead and Meteor it, but I'm not sure that's going to be best. I mean, because, you know, Fireplume Phoenix essentially deals with this. We could actually just Flame Geyser 1 and Fireplume Phoenix it as well. I'd be fairly behind on the board. Thunder Lizard might be good, but it's probably not going to be. This doesn't feel like a good Meteor turn because he does have larger minions in this deck. I mean, we're losing the game right now. We're fairly far behind. We could also just Frostbolt, Flame Geyser, Ping to kill both of these. But then I don't play an elemental is the problem, which makes Thunder Lizard a pretty bad play next turn. So I think we'll just go this route. I mean, he's clearly got a trade, and he's going to have a minion, not to mention another play. But I think Meteor could catch me up in this game if he makes a trade and plays like a big-bodied minion or medium-sized bodied minion even. That's a pretty good line, but our Frostbolt will be able to actually deal with this a little bit. We can pop off the Flametongue Totem with Frostbolt. Meteor is actually an option too. But I don't think I like it still. I think I have to hold for the Meteor value. I'll just play the Thunder Lizard and the Frostbolt, and Ping is not valuable, so I guess we'll just play the Flame Elemental off curve. But let's see what we get here first. This could change our decision. I think +3 health is just going to be the best at trading into the board, so. Pinging this could actually be fairly relevant for the trade in the future turn, but I think Meteor, and I want to make sure this is not actually an elemental, so I want to make sure that I'm able to activate the Steam Serger if needed, or Servant of Calamos or some other synergy play that we might have. So Blaze Caller, okay. He played that in the right spot for Meteor. I'm not going to get full Meteor value, but this is still going to be a very good turn. We'll be able to clear the board here. We could fireball it, but this is, this is good enough. Do I want to trade or ping? If I trade, I can develop a Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I think has quite a bit of value. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the trade here. This could really matter, particularly if I get something like Arcane Intellect off the top. This guy's not going to be activated, unfortunately, which is sad, but... Whoa. Fireball's great here. That's fine. I might actually just play this as a 4-mana minion. And just empty my hand here, essentially. That's 7, 9. If I want to play this, though, and ping, I won't. So I guess I'll save it, actually. I'll just save it. This is enough of a board, I think. I want to play this, and then this will get activated. We really need the Flame Geyser just because we're out of resources, right? We're going to need cards to win this game, so... We actually somehow stabilized, but now we still have to find a way to win. And his deck is going to be stronger than ours on average, particularly with cards like that. That just gives him so much value. But, I'm surprised we were able to stabilize there, even though the Blaze Callers and stuff... What? That's not good news at all. We can kill it with the Steam Serger into the... So let's do this first and see what we get, because it might actually be a better option. Ice Barrier doesn't really help much here. It has to die, right? Like, I have to kill it, unfortunately. It's definitely not an efficient play by any means. Do I want an Ice Barrier or just Flame Elemental? I could have actually done both if I'd done it before I traded, which I probably should have. This is an Elemental, so we don't have to play this. I guess we can just for initiative. I don't think the Ice Barrier is going to matter this game. We're going to die eventually anyway because he has better cards than us. This is not going to be... I don't think it's going to buy us enough time to matter. We're eventually just going to bleed out, essentially. I think my best draw is probably Servant of Calamos. Oh my goodness. Forgot this was a card. You don't see this still every day. We can just empty our hand, play everything. See how these Arcane Missiles roll. We could trade first or something, but it's just going to be so awkward anyway. I'm just going to see how they fly. I think we'll just let that live for now. It doesn't technically threaten the Water Ellie. He might have Maelstrom Portal or something to help tidy it up, but... So now we really need, like, Arcane Intellect off the top, I think, to succeed here. One card is not going to be, on average, strong enough for us to win the game. Because, you know, he's got 4 cards. We have 0. So each of our cards has to compete with multiple cards on his end of the board here. That's... Oh, it looked like he was targeting this. I was going to say that's a very interesting trade. Don't be Taunt Totem? Okay, that's fine. That's actually frustrating. That's going to be a problem. That's just not enough. I mean, it helps me deal with the board a little bit, but again, it's a pretty weak play in the end of the day. So he can kill the Water Lily now with a trade with his face. Gets a 4/4 out of it, but again, we're 4 cards behind here, so unless we draw something that generates me cards like Arcane Intellect, I just don't think it's in the cards. I don't think we're going to find it. Took us a little bit too long to stabilize the board and start applying pressure to his face, so it's a good play. We need one of these. Oh, it's actually not that good because it's not activated. It's still a good play, but yeah, see, that's just not strong enough here. I think the best play is to kill this. This goes down to 2, so the weapon kills it, unfortunately, but we're actually dead regardless, I guess. It doesn't matter. The game is over. He has 11 damage on board, so... Yeah, we top-decked a little sourly. Sourly? I'm not sure that's a word. Poorly is really what I should say. We had some sour top decks, is how I should put it. That's overkill. These guys are cute, though. Happy to see these guys. Yep, so just took a little too long to get rolling, and like I said, you know, this deck and many budget decks like it just don't have the late game value pieces necessarily to go toe-to-toe with a more refined version. Not running Blaze Callers, for instance, those were the cards that really helped him swing the board. Even though we had answers, we were basically playing from behind at that point instead of playing from ahead, and since this is a bit more aggressively tuned as far as the curve is concerned, this is the kind of deck that really wants to play from ahead and dictate the pressure of the game and push and chip away at your opponent's health so that you're able to finish them off with the burst damage that you draw into. It's not a value play at all. These cards are actually all too slow. Mirror Image I would keep perhaps if we had Mana Worm exactly, or maybe in a Sorcerer's Apprentice. But unfortunately, they don't work great here. This is a fairly awkward hand too, particularly against Druid who can ping down our 2-drop. The Arcane Missiles have 0 value on 1 by themselves. You have to have Mana Worm to make these relevant plays, or play against an aggro deck. If it was, you know, if we saw a Pirate come out in patches, Arcane Missiles might be a fine turn 1 play. But unfortunately, it looks like this may be not even Token Druid. I thought it might be Token and we'd have some good answers, but the fact that he didn't play anything, I don't know what we're about to see. Maybe he's waiting, or maybe he had a bit of an awkward hand. So far, no plays. That signals a more control style deck, which could be good and could be bad. I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's a pretty weak spell at the end of the day. Thankfully, we do have some minions to play now, but this just isn't going to be strong enough, I think. It could protect a high-value resource, which is why we run a copy, but you don't want to see an extra one from your card generation stuff. Oh, so this now does look like Token. What an interesting start he had then. Seems like a terribly unfortunate start. Oh, man. I could actually just go nuts here and almost certainly kill this and create a really big Mana Worm. These are also really good against small tokens, but you know, if the Mana Worm sticks and the Igneous Elemental sticks, I would have 2 minions to trade, and I'd still be able to develop a Water Elemental next turn. I could also just Fireball this, right? But this is 6 missiles, and you know, even if some whiffed, the Elemental could clean them up. And frankly, we wouldn't even have to kill it because we'd have Mirror Images on the board. I think I'm going to go for it. This is a bit of an all-in play, I admit, but if exactly 2 hit, I may just make the trade and play 1 Elemental and play a Mirror Image. I think this is better. This triggers an Elemental for me in case that becomes important, because the Mana Worm itself is not an Elemental. And we also save an Arcane Missiles, which I like, so I think that was the most optimal version of the play. Thankfully, the Arcane Missiles hit in a favorable way to make that work. This might be another good Arcane Missiles turn here. Could play this, Arcane Missiles, That's 2 mana. We could actually even follow up with a Fireball if we wanted. I don't know that we'd need to necessarily. The alternative is Water Elemental Arcane Missiles, which I actually like better because this plays a minion. The problem, of course, is that I don't really want to have to kill this Galactic Crawler with my Mana Worm. I want it to die to Arcane Missiles or the Flame Elemental. So let's just see how this goes. I mean, there's a chance that, you know, we whiff completely here. If that's the case, I may clean up with the Flame Elemental, but I'm probably still just going to play the Water Elemental. But there's a chance this hits, and it buffs our Mana Worm anyway, so it's worth some damage. Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred this got hit twice and traded, but at the end of the day, I think I can just leave this alive. It's going to have to go through this taunt. And I do want to commit to some face damage, right? Like, winning this game is quite valuable. We can trade into this with the Water LA next turn, probably. It's okay to leave it. We don't have to trade it. If we do, this dies to other stuff. I don't think he probably runs Wrath or Swipe necessarily, but it certainly could. Oh my goodness. That is a bit of a problem. That's a bit of a problem. How much damage do I have right now? This is 7 because of the Mana Worm, and this is 8, 12, 15, and this is 17 damage. I can't play it all right now, but, you know, pings could put him very, very low. In other words, so I just kind of want to leave these alive. He won't have anything to do next turn. He could make a couple good trades. He could clear my board, in fact. But I could, like, play this, for instance, and kill one of them. Maybe kill the Crawler. Or just play the Apprentice and the Phoenix here. Yeah, I think we're just going to load up and go face, guys. I don't think he can resolve this board. There's not enough damage on... I mean, Savage Roar, though. Maybe I should have played around Savage Roar a little bit. Because Savage Roar will kill the board pretty efficiently. But he only has 2 mana, so unless he kills... He could kill 1 in Savage Roar. There's other buffs, too. Oh my gosh. Mark of the Lotus helps, but it might be enough. It's 3 here, 3, 3, 3, 3. Yeah, it's actually enough. Thanks to the patches. No, he's got to go into the water alley here. So now we need to find the damage. I wish we had a... Oh, that's a lot of damage. Takes him to 4. Which means we can't ping him out because his hero power is going to outplay our ping is the problem. We have a lot of damage in the deck though, so I think we have to go for it. Living Mana was really like the best possible play, I think, for us. Like, we could have tried to kill some of them to reduce the value, but then we don't have the damage on face, and it's like he has more cards in hand. It was a really big dilemma. I'm not sure which direction was correct. I mean, it looks pretty bad because he hit the patches Mark of the Lotus, which was a really good answer for the mana that he had available. Savage Roar could have been a punish too. I just don't know. I mean, we killed one of them that was convenient to kill, but I just didn't want to give up 8 damage to face with the rest. It felt like too much. So now we need to top deck pretty well. I mean, a Fireball right now ends the game. Serger Calamos is a sick play. Just gives me resources and good minions. Anomalous is nuts. Because it's something he has to deal with and it clears his board. Yeah, I mean, I can't play it yet, obviously, but jeez. What a sick minion. This is this is a card you'd never think of existing, and you certainly don't think of it as an elemental. Because that got added recently, but... What a cool card. I mean, he might be able to kill me before it matters is the only risk. Like double Savage Roar or some crazy card. Like, I don't know what else to, what other hope we have, right? That's 12, 17, 19 damage. This might just be too slow. It may not end the game. He has to trade into this, though, if he doesn't kill me right now. So... that buys me a little bit of time. He still has 16, so the minions on board, as we know it right now, won't be enough. So we might have time for Anomalous. But he probably is going to play more, too, so... I don't think that'll leave him with enough damage on board. Oh, it actually will exactly. Oh, no. He has exactly 11 damage. We have to kill this and get... I think Fireball is it. 1 mana off. No. So I'm just dead. Playing this would be irrelevant, right? We don't have a way to activate it. He could just kill me all the same. It's the same as playing nothing. Oh, he was actually sitting on swipe that whole time. Or very nearly the whole time. There might have been a better way out of that living mana turn. That might have allowed me to swing the game. But ultimately, we have to kill the guy. It's the same story as last time. We can't go for the value game forever. You have to turn the corner with this deck. I've played a lot of games. You have to eventually look for the kill. Maybe that was a turn too soon to turn the corner, since we had a pretty big board, and he leverages boards well. That's the only change I could really foresee, playing that differently and playing it better. It's a possibility. But we did put ourselves on a couple outs to win the game, which is pretty good. I assume that Arcane Missiles won't be valuable against a Priest. We need to get out quickly and out-tempo this guy, most likely, if he's a Silence Priest or Miracle Priest. We just want to get out fast and kill him. Coining the Apprentice is good a lot of the time if Arcane Intellect sticks. I mean, Shadow Word Pain kills it is the only risk. I'll go ahead and play these as well. They're not going to matter right now, but it's just a free play. We don't have a Mana Worm or anything to buff, so we just have to hope there's no Shadow Word Pain. If there's no Shadow Word Pain, we're golden because we can Arcane Intellect for 2, which is sick. Yeah, okay, perfect. And this is still the right line. There's no reason to Arcane Missiles for cheap damage right now. Even though it's free, it doesn't matter. Igneous into Steam is a great line. Alternatively, we could kill this to preserve our Sorcerer's Apprentice, but we don't really necessarily have to. He's not going to be able to even kill these taunts. So I think I'll just play here. We might Fire Plume that next turn or something, or probably still just Steam Serger. Well, it's honestly not the worst thing that's ever happened. I mean, I'm still going to kill this, probably, and develop a 5/4. Could also Frostbolt, trade this to keep the 3/2 alive. Could play the Shimmering Tempest. That might actually just be better. Just even though this effect is gone, a 3/2 is still pretty valuable for damage that it deals. I was not expecting Mass Dispel, though, I gotta be honest. Is that a card that's being run? Is it? I don't even know what this deck is. Dark Reaper and Mass Dispel? Is this Miracle Priest? I don't know. It looks like it, but I didn't realize that Mass Dispel or Dark Reaper were actually in. Oh, no! No! It's the perfect answer. Is it dragons? I don't know what's happening. It obviously has dragons. Are these just all cards that Dragon Priest run and I wasn't aware? That must be the case. I'm just mostly playing this for the body. The fact that I'm freezing a 1/3 probably looks a little bit suspicious, but it's just to get these stats out, really. I mean, Dragon Fire Potion might just wreck me already. Yeah, so it's definitely got dragon stuff here happening. Yeah, we're really far behind. He had a lot of good cards and good answers. Makes me a little frustrated. So we can Arcane Missiles. Like, we can trade Arcane Missiles and hope one hits. If not, clean up with maybe Fire Plume Phoenix. That'd be very frustrating. Trade up with Ping, too. We need to. We could just ping Water Elemental. I hate it. I hate that we're sending damage into minions at this point, but he did get the board, so what can I do? This is probably going to get Shadow Word Paint. There's a lot of good answers, man. Arcane, or excuse me, a Mass Dispel, and then the Potion of Madness to steal our card generation was really, really brutal. Oh, gosh. The game is over. We have no way to recover now. I mean, look how many cards he has in hand. We don't have the mana to kill this right now. We can sort of go wide on the board. Or not wide, I guess, but... Well, it's sort of wide. I don't even think I can afford to send damage to kill this. I think I have to pray somehow that I find enough face damage to win the game. It's really terrible, but I don't know what else to do. I think this board is just going to get AoE'd anyway. I don't think it matters. I think we're going to get Dragon Fired Potion. Yeah, I mean, the game is 90% over. There's almost no outs. I mean, we did 4 damage to face. Like, maybe if we runner, fireball, frostbolt or something, it's a possibility. Oh my gosh, answered it every turn. Gosh, every single play has been a perfect answer. This is a card that creates possibilities, so who knows. Still just gonna hammer face. We can't trade. People are like, oh my god, you gotta kill minions. Like, it just can't. It just can't do it. It won't work. I promise you, when he has 9 cards in hand, our only hope is to somehow steal a win by hitting his face. Over and over again. We just have to pray. Oh my... I guess we don't get to play our cards, guys. Gosh, that's brutal. Really brutal. Beat my own cards, really, not even his. That healing potion obviously ended the game. I'll play it out. The game will end really fast, but... Well, there was part of what we needed. This might be a game I just concede for one of the rare occasions because there's simply no... It's going to take too long for him to kill me, and I mean, obviously we don't have an out. So just in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and concede it out. Even though I don't like to, typically. Alright, so that's 3 tough games. I'm going to keep going here, because I think I can win 1 or 2. I have won multiple ones at this rank testing the deck, so no, I can. It just feels like we've gotten well, first 2 games felt pretty close, felt winnable, felt like we were in positions to turn the corner and win the game. That game, we just got demolished. Not a hope or a prayer. We're going to hard mulligan here for some of our 1-drops. I don't know what Warlock is going to be. Could be Handlock. Maybe Discard Zoo is probably the most common archetype, although it's very uncommon, so it's hard to guess. It's a pretty shoddy hand at the end of the day. We really needed an early minion here. That does not help at all. This is a very, very bad hand. I desperately wanted to hard mulligan for a Mana Worm. Could have kept a Frostbolt, could have kept the mirror images and stuff, but it's just, it doesn't do anything. It's not important enough. It was going to get us off to a slow start anyway. Those minions would just die to an early board and make no significant impact at all. We could just play the 3/3 out here to trade, but I honestly think I have to find something with an Arcane Intellect. There's a potential play with Sorcerer's Apprentice or even just Arcane Missiles. Thunder Lizard's not even that bad. Maybe it's just a 3/3 I play out. It's not an elemental, so it doesn't help. Next turn I could Sorcerer's Apprentice into Arcane Intellect, though. I really want to play an elemental on 4, and I don't have one to play, though, so I think I'm just going to Arcane Intellect. It's so slow against Zoo. This is something to work with at the very least. We could maybe do Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Arcane Missiles next turn. You know, if we got, like, Mirror Image, that'd be even better. That's a little bit risky with Arcane Missiles. It's not likely to hit, but it's certainly a possibility. Could also just play this, and this, and not play the Apprentice. I don't love this line. This is probably going to whiff pretty hard, but it might set up a trade. Might actually kill a minion. I'd love for it to kill the Direwolf Alpha in particular. I think it's worth the risk just to play on curve. So let's add to buff this too so that this actually actively trades into stuff. That's probably the worst outcome. No, the worst outcome would be all 3 to the egg, I suppose. But really didn't help to put either of these to 1. We had 2 attack minions on the board. So unless one lives and we ping it, I suppose. But that's not likely to happen, I don't think. That's a good card. He nailed the dream combo there, so that's tough. Man, I'm actually getting a little bit on tilt, guys. We've just gotten off to some bad starts here. We haven't fired on all cylinders yet, which is something that this deck can certainly do. Ooh, shame we didn't get Polymorph. My goodness. He might actually trade here. I don't think it'd be the worst play. So, I mean, Fireball is obviously a possibility, but I don't think I can do it yet. I think I have to play this and hope for some big hit. Thunder Lizard into Sorcerer's Apprentice is also an option. This could be really good. Calamos kind of just dies to the 5/5. So I think maybe actually Thunder Lizard into Sorcerer's Apprentice. Thunder Lizard ping is actually not even terrible just to pop this Divine Shield, but that's a pretty slow play, so I don't know that I can do that. But if I play the Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's just going to die for free to the Divine Shield, so maybe I do. +3 health here might be good. Stealth is not helpful. Poisonous is helpful if I pop the Divine Shield, so I guess I will. So it's going to be hard to make a comeback here. I mean, Fireball, but I don't have anything else to do with it except Sorcerer's Apprentice. Maybe if I draw the taunts, I could play Fireball, Source, and the taunts. Maybe a Frostbolt too would be playable for the mana costs here. Those would be great draws. That's not that fast, so it's okay. He's probably just going to go face, which I think is probably right at the end of the day. Oh no, he just wants to summon and get this guy bigger. So that's fine. We can Fireball this. I don't know that that's really worth it, personally, but that's my opinion. I can Fireball and freeze one. It sets up the Elemental Synergy for next turn. I didn't get like a Frostbolt, which would have been an ultimate draw. The problem, of course, is that my health is very, 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 very low. This almost does as much damage as this, probably, which is... But it doesn't matter if I freeze it. I can't freeze off the damage of Knife Juggler, so I just kind of have to leave it there. I can Firelands Portal the big guy next turn. It's just he's going to play more and more, so I don't know what to do. If this was a Flame Strike, we might be in the game. But we didn't get a Flame Strike, right? We got Firelands Portal, which is just very, very slow. What do I need this to roll into? Some sort of taunt? This takes quite a bit of damage off the board, but I think I'm just dead to the board if I do that. I am. I have to kill enough damage that theoretically I can live. Probably dead anyway. Very, very soon anyway. Yeah, it's a minion. Probably just dead to Chargers here. It looks like Doomguard will kill me. Man, good roll too on the Silver Golem. Sad for the Doomguard, but... Oh, he could have almost killed me with pings, I think. That would have been cool. So, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna play again. My resilience is unshakable, unflappable. But again, I just want to remind you guys, just because I'm losing games doesn't mean that the deck won't be successful for you. We've had a couple pretty bad mulligans. Unfortunate, just randomly bad mulligans. But also, playing really good decks at high levels. We're playing against great players and great decks. And sometimes that's just hard to work around. I'm going to toss these for early game. This might be Pirate. We might need really strong early game here to survive. If it's not Warrior... We still want strong early game, so, you know, 3-drops are okay, but really we want Mana Worm above everything else, I think. No signals yet from this guy. No mulligan at all, so... Okay, well... Maybe we'll get a freebie win. That's always nice. No, there we go. Finally popped in. He's hovering over the farthest left card, which might mean it's not quest, or... Maybe he's thinking about mulliganing the quest, too. Regardless, we're going to play Mana Worm. This is great against Pirates, so let's pray for Pirates, I think. Coin Fire War Axe is probably what's going to happen, though, which is a life, right? That's... Ooh, or not. Oh my gosh, he's already going ham. Look at this. Look at this. What a turn. What a turn. Yeah, we'll do this. If none of the missiles hit the minion, I'll probably uninstall Hearthstone for the record, so just so you guys know. Well, it was nice knowing you guys. It was fun hanging out, guys. I cannot believe that happened. That enables him to kill my Mana Worm, which means I don't get to trade it in the next minion he plays. That's just so unbelievably unfortunate. At least we get an on-curve play. It saves the day, but I just can't believe that. It's very, very unlikely. It's what, I think there's a 1/3 chance 3 times, so you take 33 divided by 3. It's like a 4% chance that happens. Is that right? Something like that. No, it wasn't even 30. It was 50%. No, it was 50% 3 times. Sorry. It wasn't a third 3 times. 50% 3 times, which essentially means 12.5% chance. So we had a 87.5% chance for that to go well, and instead it went poorly. We rolled the 12%, basically. Sorry for the original bad math there. But, you know, honestly, we're not that bad off. We've stabilized a little bit. That's a pretty good play from him because I don't have an answer to this right away. But I can at least play some minions out, which is pretty good. I think I'll go ahead and play this one just for next turn value. I don't think he'll trade. He might Arcanite Reaper it, which would suck a little bit, but that probably means this lives and we can probably kill it with the Fire Plume and Flame Geyser next turn. Chrono Elite's also a good kill on it, but not any different, really. It trades into it, which is fine. So we'll be able to kill it. This will live, but, you know, won't be a huge threat. Is Fireball to clear the board actually just better? It does remove Pirates, which is good. But I don't develop anything beyond the 1/2. If I play the Fire Plume Phoenix, I get more minions on the board. He has a minion on the board, but I don't think a pirate buff is going to be relevant. He doesn't have like a weapon into a cultist right now, so I think I'm okay with this. I'll go ahead and make that trade just in case I need to ping it off next turn somehow. I mean, if he plays like Fire War Axe Cultist, in hindsight, that will have been the worst version of the play, but I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, that's a very... wow, he didn't even Hero Power. Maybe he's playing for Mortal Strike. That might be a good signal for Mortal Strike here. I'll play this. I'm looking for like a taunt or a freeze. None of these are awesome, honestly. Barongeddon's is actively bad. Anomalous is just slow. I think I'll go for the Steam Serger here, just for consistency's sake. Would have loved an actual freeze. Would have been great, but take what we can get. And we'll just trade into the board, obviously. I don't know that was a crazy bad turn. We have 16 damage available right now. Actually, this would give us 18 damage right now. He armored up this turn, so I don't think that was intentional for Mortal Strike. I think that was just an oversight, to tell you the truth. Let's double check that we don't have lethal. 7, 10. This is 6 for 16. This is actually 2 instantly from the Flame Geyser for 18. 19. We don't have the mana for 19, though, so... So we need to be careful here that we don't pop him below Mortal Strike range, but I don't think that's possible yet. He'd have to use a weapon to activate a Mortal Strike. Well, frankly, we're not even at that point yet. He's at... I can put him down to 15, so... He can't double Mortal Strike and weapon up, because he doesn't have the mana. So we're just going to pop him with everything we got right now. And we should have more than enough damage to win the game next turn, because we have, you know... a lot on board, plus the Fireball in hand. So unless he somehow resolves this board, which should not be possible for a Pirate Warrior, I think we stabilize just in time. And despite the unfortunate rolls early, still are going to win this game, it looks like. I wouldn't be surprised to see a concede here. Oh my gosh, what is in his hand? It's got to be double Mortal Strikes, right? So let's count. I'm pretty sure we have more than enough damage. 5... 9, 12, 15, and 6 is 21. Easy lethal spot here. Gosh, I almost had it even without the Fireball, which is funny. Alright, so we did it, boys. We actually beat the best deck in the meta right now, ironically, of all things. We lost to some homebrew stuff and some weird decks and some average decks. Of course, great players and still strong decks, don't get me wrong. But the one deck we beat was actually the best deck in the game right now, according to some data that suggests that Pirate Warrior is actually still the strongest deck in Hearthstone today. So, as you can see, not the best games necessarily, not the best vision of the deck. I don't think it got a really fair shake for what I've seen it do in the past, because we didn't get into those crazy games where it was like double Mana Worm, Mirror Image, Arcane Missiles, just hammer them for like 5 damage Mana Worms 3 turns in a row before they find an answer, because those games do happen. We didn't see those. We also didn't see like a really smooth elemental curve out, which also happens. So I think we just hit some awkward stuff, a little bit on the bad side of the variance. But despite that, still had a couple of close, winnable games, I think. Perhaps even one that we misplayed out of a win, although I'm not really sure with that Druid game. So hopefully you can still see that the deck has some potential, has some strength, and can go toe-to-toe with strong decks. And if you play the same deck with a worse player, with a less refined version at a lower rank, you're going to be much more likely to win those close games that we couldn't quite pull out. And despite that, we still did find a win against Pirate Warrior, thanks to a lot of the early game strengths and really high tempo plays that this deck can present. So, all in all, I'm not too upset with how things went. So all that said, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions about this deck, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to read everything. Some great members of my community will certainly chime in with some thoughts and discussion of their own. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, game on.